Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss the findings being made public at last regarding the bullying allegations against the Home Secretary Priti Patel and how we've taken another step on the road to the bottom when it comes to political credibility in this country. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So this really concerns bullying by Priti Patel of her staff. In any workplace, obviously, bullying would be a serious issue, and depending upon the severity, varying degrees of disciplinary action would follow. But with government ministers, there are no shades of grey. There's no consideration on that point. The ministerial code is very clear. If you bully, you resign. If you won't resign, the Prime Minister must dismiss you. So following on from Dominic Cummings' departure, there's been a number of changes this week. So it gives the impression that Dominic Cummings was blocking a lot of things. For example, this week at the start, we had the Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, being interviewed by the hitherto boycotted Good Morning Britain, where the host ripped him a new arsehole, explaining why it had been boycotted for so long. And then the week ended with the public confirmation of what we'd long known, that Priti Patel is guilty of bullying staff and breaking the ministerial code. And it's not the first time Priti Patel has done this either. A few years ago, when she was in Theresa May's government, she went behind her own government's back to hold secret discussions with representatives of a foreign power, Israel in this case. Doesn't really matter, that's immaterial. The fact is, she did it behind the Prime Minister's back. She lied to the Prime Minister. When the Prime Minister asked her if this was true, she said no. So she showed basically disloyalty to her own government and therefore was forced to resign. Gone. Now, it was immediate and unequivocal. There was no suggestion that they would try and cover for her. She broke the ministerial code. Off she went. And now she's just broken the code again. But you'll see no headlines saying that Patel has resigned or that Johnson has sacked her. She's still in post and will remain in post. Sir Alex Allen, who advises the Prime Minister on ministerial matters, or did do, so we'll come to that, has resigned after the news went public that Patel did indeed bully staff, but has not been sacked or encouraged to resign. Now, what that means is that Sir Alex told the Prime Minister that Patel had broken the ministerial code. I mean, Johnson knew that anyway, because he himself wrote if you look at the ministerial code, there's a foreword by Boris Johnson in it when he became Prime Minister, where he says very clearly that bullying was prohibited. So Patel has committed an offence for which she is duty bound to resign. If she doesn't resign, like I said, the Prime Minister is duty bound to dismiss her. These things did not occur, so Sir Alex has resigned himself. So what we've got here is yet another situation where an official, an innocent official doing their job, has had to resign due to the Prime Minister's abhorrent rule breaking. Even for a politician, it had put him in an impossible situation. Now remember that when the government stated in Parliament really clearly, you know, for the avoidance of doubt, really clearly, that they intended to break the law quite deliberately with regards to the withdrawal agreement in the Internal Market Bill, the most senior official in the government's legal team, as well as the Scottish advocate, resigned. Now, this is what happens now. When a member or members of the government commit appalling breaches of conduct, it is innocent officials who seemingly resign as a result of it, while the perpetrators continue in post, committing even more offences. This isn't normal. This would never have happened a few years ago. You know, there have been times in the past when politicians have done some terrible things, but the idea of them being caught and being allowed to carry on is new, very new. And with the bullying scandal, I'll just point out that this was announced during Anti-Bullying Week. This is why people say political satire is dead in the UK. I mean, yes, I know Spitting Image is back, but the antics in their sketches are actually less ridiculous than what is actually happening in the corridors of power. So what has essentially happened is that Boris Johnson has chosen to judge that Patel has not broken the ministerial code, because what he can't do is to say she's broken the code, but he's sticking by her anyway. So he accepts that she's bullied staff. She doesn't deny it either. He wrote a piece saying that bullying breaches the ministerial code last year. But apparently it's quite easy to square this circle because she did it inadvertently. Now that is not an exaggeration. That's not me playing with hyperbole there. That is literally her defence. The reports state that she screamed and swore at staff. And this wasn't just once or twice. And apparently Patel didn't realise that screaming and swearing at staff under her authority would be upsetting. Now here's the thing. Proof by contradiction time again. So let us assume that this is true. Let us say that we believe this line of defence. That Patel genuinely didn't think that screaming, which means loud voice aggressive, and swearing at people would be upsetting. And also bear in mind just the trifactor there. She is their superior. She's their manager. She's their boss. So the combination of all things, and she didn't think that was upsetting. So the question I would ask is this. I would ask her very, very clearly, why did you on those occasions scream and swear at staff? What was the reasoning behind that? What purpose did it serve if not to deliberately upset? Because I would suggest there's no answer to that. You know, I get that some people can swear a bit and other people can be offended by that. I understand that. And you really shouldn't swear in a workplace unless you know everyone is comfortable. But, you know, someone who swears in an exasperated way or even in a casual manner is not the same as swearing at someone with a voice raised in an aggressive tone to the point where it can be characterised as screaming. And I'll throw something else into the mix here as well. So the author of the report is an independent, or was an independent advisor to the Prime Minister. Now, certainly the investigation could have been more blatantly covered up. They could, for example, have got Michael Gove to conduct it. Would have been absolutely worthless, the findings then. That being said, it was still an internal investigation. Now, if you really want to investigate something properly, you make it a public inquiry. You know, when you want to hold an internal inquiry, it's because you wish to cover something up, or at the very least downplay something. Not illuminate it all to the world. These investigations are set up to exonerate or at the very least downplay. And you can see the evidence for this in some of the wording. Now, we don't have the full report published, but we have snippets. So Sir Alex said that there was no evidence to suggest that Patel was aware of the upset that she was causing. But like I've just said, in no context anywhere is screaming and swearing at people done for any reason other than to cause upset. I would challenge anyone to come up with an even hypothetical case where it's for a different purpose. You'll notice she's never done it to the press. She's never done it to camera. So this isn't just something she does. She's not got Tourette's or something. So it's clear nonsense. And yet, Sir Alex wrote that line anyway, because these investigations always play wrongdoing down. That's what they're for. And yet her offences were so persistent, obvious and extreme that it was impossible for the report to exonerate her, even though it still tried to defend her as a default position. And remember also that this investigation was concluded a while ago. This hasn't just come out. It's only just come out publicly. Boris Johnson knew that Patel had bullied staff because he'd already seen the findings, and yet he denied it. He is no longer denying it. So he's changed his position from denying it to not denying it. So basically he lied. Demonstrably lied, because although we've been given new information, you could have Conservative supporters who may have gone, well, Boris Johnson has seen the report and he said she didn't bully, so that's good enough for me. You've now got new information. We'll have to review that situation, that position. Boris Johnson doesn't have new information. He knew about this some time ago, so he lied. So we now exist in a world where the government can break the law and even admit to breaking the law in Parliament with malice aforethought. Nothing is done to stop them. A senior minister in that government breaks the ministerial code. Nothing is done. And a couple of things to finish off here. So Boris Johnson said he now considers the matter closed. He said that before, hasn't he? So when the Dominic Cummings scandal blew up, he considered that matter closed as well. The rest of the country did not. Last week, Dominic Cummings was kicked out of Downing Street in the same week that someone who was bullied by Dominic Cummings very severely won her case, and substantial damages have been awarded against the government. History may well repeat itself here, lest we forget that this is not the end of the matter, no matter what Johnson says. Patel is facing legal action for the bullying of her former permanent Secretary of the Home Office, who was forced to resign as a result of his treatment. The government have now just thoughtfully provided more evidence for him to use in that tribunal, although I'm sure he collected enough evidence himself. This case will not go away, and more taxpayer money will undoubtedly be paid to settle that case as well in due course. Maybe it will even be the same week that she leaves government as well. We'll just have to wait and see. Finally, the political commentator James O'Brien once again made the points that he's made in the past, that the reason why cabinet ministers are continually getting away with clearly sackable offences, they're not being sacked for things that you should obviously be sacked for, is because there's clearly a pact at work now. They all went away with Johnson's rubbish. They all defended Dominic Cummings when they were told to. They all defend his messy Brexit. They all defend his messy COVID response. Everything, they just back the Prime Minister blindly. In return, Johnson has to defend them against the indefensible as well. Mutual Protection Pact. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.